Hey, Battle Built here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Great League Go Battle League battles. Well, I've got myself a little shoutcast for you guys because of the fact that I'm still working with the Mud Boys trying to figure out another team. I still haven't really figured out, even though you guys love that Drift Bloom team. But I unfortunately haven't been having too much success since then. I don't know if I want to blame the algorithm or just blame its weaknesses, but that's for another conversation, another video. But what I'm going to do for you guys, just to change it up a bit, is I'm going to shoutcast a team. This was submitted by CooltrainerSean, and I really appreciate him submitting the shoutcast. He hit me up on Twitter, said he's been working with this pretty meta Pokemon. Probably saw it in the thumbnail of the title, that I feel like it's high on PvPoke's meta list for Great League, but I don't really see it too often. Honestly, I don't think I've seen it at all. Let me take that back a little bit. Obviously it exists, but I don't think I've personally really ran into it. Maybe once or twice. I've done thousands of Great League battles. So my point in that is the Pokemon's Mantine, and I find it very interesting because it has a debuff move in Bubble Beam, and the lineup he's running with it consists of Haunter, Mantine, and Medicham. So he's actually running the Mantine in the middle position, which I find interesting because of the debuffing. I would have assumed that maybe preferably you'd want to lead with it, but he's running it in the back, and let's see how these matches go. He's leading with Haunter. So he's got a Haunter on a Bastiodon lead, and this seems like a pretty tough lead for him because Haunter's not going to enjoy these smackdowns from Bastiodon too much, and Mantine's definitely not going to enjoy them, so you really don't want to swap out. So it looks like he's going to play this completely. That seems like the smart move considering the team comp. He'll play it out completely. I'm assuming, I think he's throwing the Shadow Ball. Yeah, Shadow Ball here. He doesn't go shielded, so it does a solid chunk. And I guess what will end up happening is once Haunter goes down, it'll do as much damage as it can. He'll get the Shadow Punch off, most likely grabbing the shield because I would assume his opponent's going to commit to shield switch advantage, and then he'll bring in Medicham to farm it down. So yep, his opponent shields it, the Haunter goes down, and honestly it's not like the worst thing in the world. You kind of sack Haunter, you get back, like it's one of your team's main weaknesses, sack Haunter, get Bastiodon pretty low so you can pretty much farm it down. Stone Edge and Flamethrower, Bastiodon's more of a tanky Pokemon, so neither of these are going to hurt too much, even though Stone Edge does get stabbed, but it's also resisted, so I wonder if that does more damage than a neutral Flamethrower. But anyhow, did he swap out or did the Bastiodon go down? Either way, Meganium's in, and he's got Ice Punch on his Medicham to deal with this Meganium, and the Meganium's only got one shield. So the Bastiodon swapped out. Oh, that was nice swap, very nice swap on his part. That was a mistake by his opponent. Honestly, I think even though he pulled that nice swap, I would probably still shield this. He doesn't shield it, and I think the play would have been to shield it because he's most likely going to want to try to throw a Bubble Beam unless he's going straight for the Ice Beam. So, okay. Alright, well, now he definitely has to shield it. The Mantine's going to go down. I guess with my logic would have been, like, try to throw the Bubble Beam and nerf it. But I guess he's going to over-farm. He's going to get it pretty low. Yeah, you're going to throw the Bubble Beam, you're going to try to nerf it, and you're going to try to get that shield also. So he built up for the Ice Beam to try and trick his opponent. Bubble Beam's definitely not going to take out the Meganium, even though he missed that one little bubble. But he got the shield, and that was important there. And now he's at an Ice Beam. Oh, and they CMP tie, which makes sense. So now the question is, do you commit the shield here, or you let the Mantine go down and you lose the energy? Is that going to take it out? Yeah, I figured even debuffed. It's still neutral. Frenzy Plant's a really strong move, but I don't blame that decision because there's a Bastiodon on the back, and you could almost farm down this Meganium with his Medicham, and again the Bastiodon's practically done for. So he's got a fully loaded Medicham, and it has to deal with whatever this opponent's third Pokemon is. So hopefully he runs into something that his Medicham has a positive matchup against. His opponent brought in the Bastiodon. I don't know if they were trying to catch a move or something, but that didn't really do anything. Meganium's also done. I guess they were trying to catch a charge move, and now they got a Deoxys. So, interesting. I wonder if the Ice Punches are going to add up to do enough. I don't really see. Honestly, I didn't watch any of these matches ahead of time, so I'm learning this and figuring this out just as much as you guys do. Yeah, this match doesn't seem like it's going to go too well, mostly because of the fact that those Ice Punches don't do a lot, the counters are resisted, and the Dynamic Punch is going to be resisted. But either way, he played a pretty close match. Mostly, the main reason why he lost this is because of the fact that he lost that lead with Bastiodon Haunter, so that's something I would point out as one of the team's biggest weaknesses. He played it out to like the best of his ability in that case, but his team really couldn't do too much against it. So after that first match, again, got pretty hard countered there, and ends up losing it, but it ended up being a close match. So getting into game number 2, I'm curious now, looking at the team, what other possible weaknesses there are. He happened to message me and let me know some information about it. Definitely something like an Azumarill in the back can give him a problem. That's what he had mentioned, and I could definitely see that with Mantine and Medicham not really Well, Medicham definitely gets countered by Azumarill, and Mantine doesn't really have any moves to deal any serious damage with Bubble Beam and Ice Beam. But anyhow, he's got a Haunter on a Skarmory lead here, and he's farming up a bunch. I know from personal experience, being the Skarmory, that a Shadow Ball will take, or not, well, it'll get like the Skarmory to like 1 HP. So he ends up getting the shield there. Maybe he could have gone for the bait, but either way, sometimes people expect the bait. But at least he got the shield, and he has a bunch of energy. So he's going to shield the Sky Attack coming in from Skarmory. And let's see how his opponent or he decides to continue playing this out. Honestly, after a while, the Air Slash is going to add up a bit. I wonder if he goes for another Shadow Ball. Yeah, I guess you go for another Shadow Ball. I guess you're not really going to get the 2 Shadow Punches. So at least try to commit to winning the 1 shield. Unless they decide to shield again. They decide to shield again. They want to commit to Switch Advantage. Interesting on their part. I mean, honestly, Switch Advantage is important, so I don't really blame them. It's not a poor move. And then he brings in the Mantine, and then their opponent swaps into a Sableye. I guess that Sableye must have Power Gem, which is why you would swap that in there. Just because of the fact that Foul Play and Shadow Sneak really aren't going to do too much. Like, Foul Play gets stabbed, and I guess that's a nice chunk. But Power Gem from Sableye would be super effective. He's going for the Ice Beam because he's got bold shields from his opponent. And he couldn't bring a Medicham here just because of the fact that Medicham's going to resist the counters. Ice Punch isn't a strong move. And then Medicham would take super effective damage from the Sableye's Shadow Claws, and if it was running Shadow Sneak, it would take super effective damage there. So he made the right play here. He's going for the Bubble Beam. This should take out the remaining health, even though it doesn't do a lot of damage. Sableye was really, really low, and now we'll see what comes back in. The opponent brings in a Medicham of their own. Interesting. So I guess the play here is go for the debuff. I would have thrown the debuff. I would have thrown the Bubble Beam and then brought in Medicham. I guess his opponent's switch timer is up. Okay, so maybe that makes sense. That makes sense. If his opponent's switch timer is up there, then the Medicham just swaps out when he brings in his own Medicham, and then the debuff ends up clearing. So saving that for later, saving that energy was smart. Now that I think about it, I forgot that the Skarmory was almost dead-ish, but he could have easily swapped in the Scar. I'm surprised his opponent didn't bring it in yet. He's just going to play out this Medicham matchup. His opponent's going for an Ice Punch here. Both of them are going to deal neutral damage to each other. They're going to both slowly add up, but he has to save his shield because that Skarmory has energy? Or did it throw its... I don't even remember. Man, my memory's terrible. I apologize. I apologize, doing a poor job shoutcasting. You know, I've only done it a couple times. I'm still working. I'm still trying to improve on it. But I already lost my train of thought here. So, now I don't think you shield this. I think you might as well just leave. Yeah, you don't shield this. You bring in Mantine to farm down whatever little health is left of the Medicham, and here's where his opponent makes a mistake. That Skarmory should have came in immediately. But now he can go for the Ice Beam. So saving that energy ended up being smart, ended up paying off. Really good play on his part. His opponent, though, made a mistake. That Medicham should have came out right away. It shouldn't have even given the Mantine a chance to get in that extra bubble that it got in. His opponent's going for the charge move here. He's got a shield for it, and now he's going to throw a bubble, and that should finish off the Skarmory. Yep, 1 bubble. That finishes it off, and he takes that second match. So, two pretty solid matches so far. I'm wondering how I feel about Mantine. It came in clutch here with the Ice Beams. We'll see how it continues to play out in that secondary position these next couple matches. Getting into his third match, he's going up against Make Johto A, and hopefully as we get to these next 3 clips, we'll see some more of the strengths of Mantine, especially in the position he has it in, and he's run into another Bastiodon lead. So again, this is definitely a weakness of this team comp, and he's going to have to do what he did in the first match, which essentially is commit to playing it out with Haunter. He's going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. I'm assuming a lot of people aren't going to really shield the Shadow Ball, mostly because Bastiodon is so tanky that it can tank a Shadow Ball and people will feel comfortable about it. This person just makes me eat my words, just put my words back in my mouth. I'm completely wrong. He's not going to shield the Shadow Ball. I mean, he's going to shield the Shadow Ball. But either way, alright, so he got a shield out of it. Honestly, that's not bad either. That definitely works better for him. And the reason why is because now the Bastiodon has more health for his Medicham to come in and farm up. The Bastiodon's not going to be able to do a lot of damage to his Medicham, and then the Medicham is going to have a bunch of energy by the end of finishing off this Bastiodon. So his first opponent really played it better by not shielding their Bastiodon against a Haunter. Because now, even though like that Stone Edge got like a quarter-ish, a fifth of its health, look at all that energy. He's all the way up to an Ice Punch now, and he has shield advantage, as much as he doesn't have switch advantage. So this is looking similar to excuse me, the team that he faced in the first match. He's got a Deoxys counter, and he brings in his Mantine to deal with it. His opponent hasn't swapped yet, but the issue with bringing in Mantine into this situation here is that Deoxys runs two moves that are going to both be super effective against Mantine. One of them is going to be Rock Slide, the other one would be Thunderbolt, and that would be double super effective against Mantine because of the water and the flying typing. So I don't know if it was necessarily the best decision to swap in Mantine, but at the same time, you don't really like that Medicham matchup either, so I guess you can come in, debuff this Deoxys, and essentially kind of sack the Mantine and let it take any extra damage Deoxys decides to throw. I'm wondering what the opponent's third Pokemon is in the back because of just the pure fact that they left in Deoxys here. Like, Deoxys has a good matchup against Mantine, but still, like, you know for a fact your Deoxys beats the Medicham, so this could either mean one of two things. Is a Pokemon in the back doesn't have a good matchup against a Mantine, or he has another Pokemon that has a good matchup against this Medicham, and it ends up being the same team as the first team that we ended up facing, which was the Bastiodon Deoxys Meganium team. So he goes for the Ice Beam here. That does go shielded, but his Medicham has a bunch of energy. He's going straight for the Ice Punch. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to pull this one out. This one's not looking too likely either. So he lands an Ice Punch. He does have a shield, though, so that's a positive. If he can get to this Ice... Oh, no. Meganium wins that CMP tie. Interesting. I was going to say we can get to the Ice Punch before the Frenzy Plant goes off, but I don't think the Ice Punch even is going to take out at this health. So he shields that Frenzy Plant up. He's going to go for this Ice Punch here. It's going to get the Meganium pretty low. He's undercharging it. Interesting. So I guess leave it with a little bit more extra health to kind of farm down the Meganium, which is a smart play here. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. Where's the Deoxys health at again? The Deoxys health is pretty low, so getting that extra energy is pretty important. This could work. The Ice Punch is not going to take out the Deoxys. The Deoxys is going to have to try to over-farm enough on the Medicham so it can throw back-to-back charge moves, because it's not going to be able to counter down the Medicham. So we shall see here. It also depends on where his Mantine's energy's at. He's going to need a Bubble Beam to finish off this Deoxys. The Rock Slide comes through. It doesn't take out the Medicham. He should have swapped out. He shouldn't have let that Deoxys get the extra counter in. But he throws one bubble, two bubbles. Oh, and it was just enough. That had to be like one counter away from a Rock Slide. So he was able to end up redeeming himself after that first match against the same team, losing to it. But I think what was crucial here was just the pure fact that his opponent shielded that Shadow Ball on his Bastiodon. I think that was more of a mistake on his opponent's part, whereas his team is still pretty weak to that team. So, getting into this fourth match, he's going up against Doralala. I think I read that right. And he's got a Haunter on and a Azumarill lead. So, like I said, what he had mentioned, Azumarill's pretty weak. I mean, has a pretty big weakness to his team, but not when it's up against the Haunter. Now he needs to try and play the bait game properly. He needs to try and land himself a Shadow Ball so he can try and win out this matchup. His opponent's going for the first charge move. When you're running a Haunter, you gotta pretty much literally shield every charge move coming your way, unless it's like double resisted or single resisted. His opponent swaps out and brings in a Sableye of their own. I guess he kind of wasn't sure what the Pokemon was, so he decided he wanted to throw some of the energy. He's going for a Shadow Punch. This will be neutral. It'll be neutral because Dark resists, Ghost takes super effective against Ghost, and then he swaps in his own Mantine. So this can work out. One of the positives of Mantine is just the pure fact it's super bulky. So even if he goes for a Power Gem, which this is not, it's a foul play, the Mantine will be able to tank either of those moves pretty well, even though the Power Gem would be super effective. Now he's going straight for the Ice Beam, so this might catch his opponent off guard, because in this case I would have just gone for the debuff to try and get the shield. It definitely caught his opponent off guard. His opponent did not shield it, and it's in range to be bubbled down if he decides to shield this next charge move. So now the first Pokemon was Azumarill. I guess you don't want to shield it. He decides not to, because just the pure fact that Mantine's really not going to do too much against the Azumarill in the back. And I guess you could farm up energy, but then again, Haunter's going to take a lot of damage from the Shadow Claws. Took a lot of damage there. That was a bit unfortunate. But the Azumarill's coming back out. Okay, so honestly, this is his opponent doesn't know his third Pokemon, but considering his team comp, this is the most ideal situation when going up against an Azumarill, as his opponent decides to bring it in and leave it against a Haunter. It's a good thing he went for that Shadow Punch. He would not have gotten to the Shadow Ball. The next bubble would have taken him out before he got there. And the Shadow Punch will do a nice little chunk. Oh, he missed the bubble right there towards the end. He gets in the yellow. He brings in Medicham here, and you just really got to hope that this doesn't happen to be a play rough Azumarill. This ends up being a play rough Azumarill. He's going to end up... Oh, he has a shield still. Alright, never mind. Doesn't make too much of a difference. He could shield this. It's going to end up being an Ice Beam, so either his opponent decided to bait or he's most likely not running play rough. And I guess in this situation is you overfarm like he's currently doing, and you go for the dynamic punch. Interesting. I guess Ice Punch really just does nothing. And then your counters are resisted, so you're taking the chance of letting the Azumarill get to another charge move. So I don't blame him. Oh, wow. This could not have been a more ideal Pokemon to run to the back. So he's up against a Scrafty, and Scrafty's a pretty solid fighter in Go Battle League. The issue with Scrafty, though, it's a fighter with a dark typing, so his dynamic punch is going to one-shot it like he just did. That worked out real nice. So overall, he went up against one of his team's biggest weaknesses. Mantine had some pretty good play there. I don't really think it did anything too special there. But overall, team comp really is hit or miss. Also, when I say this team is very hit or miss, I don't mean that as a bad thing. All I'm saying is that if that wasn't a Scrafty in the back, he could potentially be 2-2 in the set. There are a few Pokemon that the Medicham is going to really one-shot the way they just one-shot the Scrafty. I do definitely like it, though. It's definitely unique. It's got some really good play. Haunter's very attack-heavy. Mantine does have that bulk that helped withstand in that other matchup against the Sableye. But he's got this next matchup, and he's got another Skarmory lead, which again is a tough one, because you want to land that Shadow Ball. And if the Shadow Ball doesn't land, then you could potentially, I think you lose the 2 shields. So I think these Air Slashes just add up so much if you decide to go straight Shadow Ball the way that he's been doing, that you're going to end up losing the 2 shield in that situation. I wonder if you go straight Shadow Punch if you win the 2 shields. But that Shadow Ball goes through, and like I said, it will take out the remaining health of that Skarmory. So his opponent brings in a Whiscash, and I don't completely blame his opponent for bringing in the Whiscash because of the fact that he can shield this up and then farm down the Haunter, but it was smart enough for the Shadow Punches because he's definitely going to get... Oh, I thought he was going to definitely get a shield. I am super surprised his opponent didn't shield that. That was very risky because a Shadow Ball would have definitely hurt that Whiscash too. But he brings in a Mantine, and then this is definitely one of Mantine's strengths, the Mud Boys, because this Blizzard is neutral. That did about 49% of that Mantine's health. Can't say it was 50% because it didn't even get in the yellow. He is going for the Ice Beam here. Because of the 2 shields, I think I would have gone for the Bubble Beam because it would have debuffed. And, okay, his opponent's not shielding anything. I guess his opponent's just expecting these baits because he has not shielded a single thing that I would have expected him to shield. But regardless, solid play, recognizing his opponent is not taking baits and going for that Ice Beam to take out the Mantine. He's going for a Bubble Beam here. And this will nerf the Deoxys, and the Deoxys' counters are already resisted, so this Deoxys doesn't have a choice but to go for its charge moves. He's not going to shield it, makes sense. Rock Slide, even nerfed, should take out Mantine here, but that was definitely one of the strengths of the Mantine. It has some good matchups against the Mud Boys. So now we're going to wait to see the switch in. It's going to definitely be Haunter. These counters are going to be resisted. He can go for the Shadow Punch, and these Shadow Punches would really hurt a Defense Deoxys, but now the Defense Deoxys has 2 shields. Do you use them here? Okay, he used the shield there. There we go. I'm starting to feel crazy. Now the question is, do you shield this up because of the fact, yeah, I would have shielded this up too. Solid play. So you shield this up, especially because now it was a cheaper charge move, but now the attack stat of the Deoxys is resisted. His opponent's deciding to switch and decided pretty late. The Whiscash survived a little bit of health there. That's crazy. It survived that Ice Beam like the tiniest bit of health. It's going to eat the Shadow Punch, which is relatively fine. It clears the Deoxys' debuff, but the Deoxys again doesn't have a choice but to go for this charge move because of the pure fact that the counters are double resisted, and then it throws another Psycho Boost, so it nerfs its own attack, and this match is definitely wrapped up. This Deoxys is not going to be able to do anything to beat this Medicham. He countered it down, and his opponent's definitely wishing that he would have used one of those shields there because he got a little too risky, and that gamble didn't completely pay off for him. So ends up being GG, and on the set he goes 4-1. I like the team for a few reasons. It definitely has some holes and some weaknesses, Bastion being one of them. Sableye would be a weakness, but it kept on landing on Mantine for him in these matches, so that works out nicely. But if Sableye's landing on Haunter or Medicham, he's definitely going to be a little messed up. He's got some counters for Registeel, though. That's important. Haunter could beat a Registeel. Medicham can handle a Registeel. He's definitely got some moves to deal with Altaria. All 3 of his Pokemon have potential winning matchups against Altaria. Medicham would lose it in like a no shield because of the Sky attacks, yada yada. I'm just kind of trying to cover the meta. I think Atropius would give this team a bit of a hard time. Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a hard counter. It would have to land on the Haunter, and I don't even know how that matchup plays out. Defense Deoxys gives this team a little bit of a hard time too if it has shields and avoids a Haunter, as we saw, because of the Rock Slides being super effective to Mantine, and then it resisting almost all of Medicham's moves. That could definitely be a problem. But overall, the strengths, I feel like, having Haunter on the team, period, definitely some strengths all by itself, because he could just output so much damage in that lead position. So maybe, I don't know if I would consider running Haunter and Mantine on the same team, just because I feel like Mantine wasn't utilized to the best of its ability in this set. I feel like if you run Mantine in the lead, it really helps you utilize a bubble beam factor of debuffing your opponent, and depending on whatever the lead situation ends up being, then whether Mantine wins or loses, you could come in with your second Pokemon against a debuff first Pokemon and potentially get some sort of energy advantage. So I feel like that would be more of a play for Mantine than in the second slot, but he definitely made it work here. He went 4-1 in the set, and he showcased a lot of the strengths because Mantine's so bulky. It did work in a lot of matchups, just being his next Pokemon in after Haunter went down to essentially farm up and then deal with whatever his opponent's second Pokemon was. So that's a Go Battle League set with a non-meta, meta Pokemon Mantine, because I always see it in PV Pokes list, and I always see it high on that list, and it doesn't really get too much play in Go Battle League. But either way, let me know what you think of the team in the comment section. Also, anybody that sent me submissions for shoutcasting, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to send me a submission, hit me in my Twitter DMs, just upload to the Google Drive folder, and then send me the link, and we'll figure it out from there. I am going to start taking some Ultra League submissions because of the fact that Ultra League is going to be starting on June 1st, which I think is this Monday, and these next couple of days, I don't know what my videos are going to be, but they'll obviously be Great League, but I want to start transitioning into Ultra League. So if you think you have a team that you have prepared and you want to send me a clip these first couple of days when it starts on June 1st, let me know. Other than that, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.